Hi, Brenton Ford here. Welcome to the Effortless Swimming YouTube channel. This is a new segment that we're starting. It's called Feedback Friday, where once a week, every Friday, I do a video analysis of someone's stroke. Because what I find with a lot of coaching feedback that people often get, it's not targeted or specific to them. So if you're a triathlete, you're probably going to need to do some different things than someone who's competing in the pool. You're probably going to need to do some things differently than people who are swimming a 50-meter sprint. So what we like to do with our video analysis, like we do in the Effortless Swimming membership, is make that feedback and the advice and the drills and the coaching tip specific to what you're training for. So the first one we've got in this new segment, Feedback Friday, is a friend of mine, Tim. He's a triathlon coach in Melbourne, a very good triathlete himself. He's been to the World Championships for Ironman over in Kona. His best Ironman swim split is 51 minutes, so a very good swimmer in his own right. So what we're looking at here is someone who's got great fundamentals, and it's just about making a couple of tweaks and adjustments to his stroke, because you're not going to swim 51 minutes without having some good fundamentals in place. So looking at his stroke here, you can see that his body position and timing is looking very good. What we like to teach is to activate the core, so to switch that on, where I like to think about it as you're drawing your belly button into your spine. Then we want to keep the legs fairly straight with the kick. So we don't want to be bending the knees too much. We want to keep the kick fairly straight. So I like to think about it as almost squeezing your bum cheeks together, activating your glutes, activating your hamstrings a little bit as well, just to keep the legs a little bit straighter in the up kick. So what we see with a lot of people is they bend their knees too much. They focus too much on the down kick as opposed to just keeping a small and narrow kick out the back. So if we look at body position and kick, all looking really good. Got pretty good ankle mobility here too. So you can see that his toes are pointing pretty much back behind him, pointing to the wall behind him. So that as well is something that we really like to see. You can also see with his head position, he's looking maybe 2 meters, 3 meters in front. And I like to see that long line through the back of the neck. So if you look at the head, the neck and the spine, for most people, we want to try and keep that a fairly straight line. As long as the crown of the head's out of the water, that's the most important thing. If the chin's pointing too far forwards, you'll often see a big arch in the lower back. You can see here with Tim, just a little bit of an arch, so very good control through the body, and that gets set from the head position. You can also see that his rotation and reach is very good. So looking here, you can see he reaches, extends out in front, and really drives that shoulder forward as he's reaching and extending out in front there. Then when we go to the front view, you can see that his alignment is excellent. We want to see the hand entering in line with the shoulder and extending straight forward before he starts the catch and the pull through. And you can see there, not crossing over the midline, which is one of the most common mistakes that we see. Okay, entering in line with the shoulders, extending straight forward. You can see as he's pulling through past his shoulder, the arms are a little bit straighter than what we normally aim for. So as you're about to pull through past the shoulder, we look at that angle of the arm. It should be between 100 and 120 degrees as you're pulling through. So it's a bit like a sideways triangle where the elbow's pointing to the side, the fingertips are pointing down, and he's very close to that. He's around 140 degrees or so, 130 on one arm. So just not quite within that range that is ideal for swimming there. So that's probably going to be one of the biggest things that we look to focus on here, getting a little bit more bend in the elbow once he's pulling through past the shoulder. And the reason we want to do that, number one, it's going to give him a bit more strength in his pull through. But the other thing it's going to do, and you'll see this from the side view, is if we can get that bend in the elbow, it's going to mean he'll improve the angle that his forearm and hand is pressing back against the water with. So when the arm's quite straight in the pull through, it means you're probably going to not quite get the forearm and hand pressing back on the water quite as much as it is pressing down. And that comes from that bend in the elbow. So you can see there from the side that while he's still holding very good water, that's what we'd like to start to improve on. And that can come from better mobility, which you would have seen in some of our other videos with the combined lateral raise test. And that also comes from often just practicing some very basic sculling drills and single arm drills. So when we do scull, we like to really focus on keeping the upper arm very still, and it's just the forearm that is moving in and out, in and out. So you're opening the angle, closing the angle. And by doing this, we want to make sure that the elbows are almost sort of pointing forward or facing forwards or off to the side. So as soon as you drop your elbows in the scull, you're going to lose that angle on the water. But sculling is just one of the best ways to be able to practice keeping that position where the fingertips are pointing down, the elbows almost sort of pointing forwards or off to the side, and we're getting the forearm and the hand angling back against the water. So that's one of my favorite drills to improve what we're looking at here. So for the most part, that would be the biggest thing that I would focus on from here, because as we saw, pretty much all the other elements of the stroke are where we want them to be. And if you're swimming 51 for an Ironman split, you're doing very well. And it's just going to be a couple of tweaks, and that would be the number one thing that I'd look at here.